Alrighty, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Life After Infidelity. And I am your favorite affair recovery coach, Briana Latrice. And we have a special guest here with us today. But before we get into that, as usual, I want to give a shout out to an amazing company called the Heartbreak Box. And did you know that consistent self-care is pivotal to healing from infidelity trauma? Yes, self-care is no longer optional after betrayal. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You are pouring all of your energy into everyone else. You are suffering from betrayal trauma, symptoms, and short-tempered and burnt out. Everything feels overwhelming and chaotic. You have no energy or time to shop and plan self-care into your daily life. That's how many women are struggling right now. This is where the Heartbreak Box, a monthly self-care subscription, comes to help you. They ship luxury, curated, self-nourishing items and gifts to your door every month. There are 3 plans to choose from. In addition to the box, they offer an exclusive member portal with supportive resources, insightful guides, and journal prompts to help you navigate betrayal trauma. Their premium subscription includes a monthly planner that's specifically tailored to help betrayal survivors reduce mental load, give encouragement, and create order and organization. Embrace the luxury and care you truly deserve with the Heartbreak Box. Secure your subscription before the 15th to get the upcoming box. Spaces are limited. Yours is waiting. Visit heartbreakbox.com today. And you can also visit them and follow them on Instagram at the Heartbreak Box as well. And so you guys, like I just said earlier, we have a special guest in the building. And today, y'all, we have my very own mama. Yes. Welcome to the show, sis.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
You happy to be here?
Yes, I am.
Good. How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great knowing that my daughter, she's doing it. She's doing the thing. I'm excited. And so, hey, I'm her biggest supporter.
You truly are. And mothers usually are the biggest supporter. And so, I'm glad that you're here to the show. I've definitely been looking to this episode. We just filmed Tracy, my cousin, your niece's episode. Yes. And so I'm sure that was, touching for you as well.
It was a great show. I saw a side of her that I've never noticed before. And I too am so excited for her. Yeah. Just to kind of see her like overcome everything that she went through in her marriage, and to see her like now have the strength and the courage to say, okay, enough is enough. It's time for me to leave. Yes.
Yeah.
That was, I noticed that she's too smiling again. And I noticed the strength that she has and the woman that she has become. And I'm just excited to see where this is going to take her. Yeah. I'm excited about your show because you are helping women. Right. You're helping a lot of women.
Yeah. When we were watching The Color Purple last night, and Oprah Winfrey was talking about what oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now. Still I Rise. What's the lady's name? Still I Rise.
Maya Angelou.
Yes. Yeah, because Maya Angelou, she has said that I come as one, but I stand as thousands, meaning that, and that really resonated with me of like, life after infidelity, it's me, and it's me coming as one, but I'm standing, as thousands, because there are so many women out there who have experienced the hurt of betrayal, being cheated on, and so that, to me, that was just like encouraging to me of like, okay, I should definitely continue doing what I'm doing you because
have to, Brianna, you have to continue. I know there may be some days you may say, nobody's listening to this. Nobody is watching this. Oh, yes. Somebody is. Look at Tracy. She messaged you. You didn't message her.
Right.
She messaged you about doing that episode. And you could tell it was from her heart. Yeah. It was gut felt. And yes, it was, it resonated in me.
Oh, really? Yeah. And so let's kind of talk about that because, you know, also Ainel is coming on the show too. And one of the things talking about standing as thousands is, you heard me tell Tracy, like my why, and outside of, you know, my future daughter, Malayla Vaughn, it's you guys, it's you, it's Ainel, it's Big Mama, it's Tracy, it's all the people in my family who I know for sure experienced infidelity in their marriages. And, you know, I don't know, like maybe kind of talk briefly about your experience in your marriage. And I'll say this, it was my second semester. Yeah, I think it was second semester. It was second or third semester. And I remember you calling me and, like, I remember it vividly, but I remember you calling me and you were so happy and you were like, hey, and I was sitting on the step, outside on my dorm room. And you were like, I got something to tell you. I got some good news to tell you. And, you know, I don't know. I thought maybe it was like, you know, you want some money or something, but you were like, my divorce is final. And I just remember how happy you were. And, you know, you took the time to call me to tell me this good news, you know, that you said. And so maybe kind of share like your experience with your situation.
Yes. Well, and now I want to piggyback off of you because you were not the only person that I called on that day. I called several people. I called Vicky. I called Aunt Gail. Because
and were they rooting for you? What did they say? What did they say when you called?
So they could not believe it. They could not believe it because they too would say, she's not going to ever leave him. She's not going to ever leave him. She's just talking. Yeah. But when a woman's fed up,
it ain't nothing you can do about it.
Because when she's fed up, it's going to have to take her. Her mom can tell her. Her friends can talk to her, but when it gets down in her heart and when she's tired of being tired of dealing with that, she's going to leave. She's going to make a change. It may hurt her for a little bit, but yeah, you have to do what's best for you. Yeah. And your children. You've got to make that final decision. Because it doesn't matter how many times or how often your family say you shouldn't have never married that person, or you know you're too good for that person. But you have got to make that final decision. Yeah. And so,
did you do your own divorce?
Yes.
You went to the courthouse on your own and everything?
I went to the courthouse. I did my paperwork. Well, a good friend helped me, and then my friend Vicky coached me through the paperwork. She was there a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That was nice.
She helped me get through a lot through my divorce. Oh, my goodness, you have no idea. Yeah. That's why it's always good to have a good friend that you can confide in. Yeah. And let me tell you, Vicky has been there for me through thick and thin. And I can truly say she helped me get through that with the grace of God. I can't leave God out because God was my ultimate sustainer. Right. Yeah. Yes. Praying. I stayed on my knees many a days and many of nights and coping through this. And while we're here at this very moment, I want to say to you that I'm sorry because being in a bad marriage, not only did it affect my family, but it affected you. Yeah, I could tell because your grades were you were going down in some of your grades. Your teachers were calling me. Don't think that they weren't. Oh wow. And, they were contacting me because they noticed a difference, a shift in you. Well, I put you through that. So I want to say right now at this very moment that I am so sorry.
Wow.
Because I haven't had a chance to say that to you. Mm-hmm. Because it took you through a lot. Mm-hmm. I could tell that because for so long it was you and I. Mm-hmm. And then when I married, I could tell a change in you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so my family would tell me, you're going to lose your daughter. They would say that all the time. Mm-hmm. But I prayed against it. Yeah. And I just said, God,
what did they mean by that? Like, you're going to lose your daughter?
I guess they were thinking that you're going to lose your daughter. She's going to leave you. She's going to live with Big Mama and never come back. And then you would used to say, I'm going to live with my daddy. Even though you didn't even know where your daddy was, you would get so angry with me.
Just spiteful, yeah.
I'm going to live with my daddy. I want to call my daddy. I'm going to live with my daddy. I don't want to live here anymore. Yeah, so I just want to say to a lot of women who are going through that struggle right now, get out of it. Don't put your children through that. Yeah. Ladies, please, if I could do it, you can do it. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. That was the best day of my life when I got my divorce. It was the best day of my life. Mm-hmm. Nobody has no idea. The first time I went, the judge that resided in that jurisdiction, she was like, I can't grant you this today. And I cried. I cried. Uh-huh. She told me exactly what to do. She said, if you can go and find him and have him to sign it or put it in the newspaper so that he can see it. And I reached out to Vicky and I reached out to another good friend and they steered me in the right direction. So I went over to him and had him, we went over to Gilmer, Texas and had the papers signed. And then I went back to the courthouse. And so, yeah.
No, but you leaving a part out. Talking about how you tricked them into signing them.
Well, I didn't want to put that on live air, but yeah, I did.
It's okay. You don't have to put that on live. But she did trick him, y'all. She tricked him.
I did. I sure did.
Had him thinking he was signing something else and he didn't know what he was signing. But sometimes, that happens. I've heard other stories like where, because sometimes men don't take the time to read the paperwork. And so, it's kind of easy to fool them. But, one thing that I always talk about, because and the reason why I ask you, did you do your own divorce, is because our marriages were basically parallel. And I talk about this in not in the devotional that's getting ready to come out, but the actual book. I talk about how you and I's marriages were so parallel to each other's, and how sometimes as women or as children, we try so hard to, if there's things that our parents did that we didn't like, we try so hard to go the opposite route. And you try so hard to go the opposite route, not realizing that, okay, yeah, you took a right and then you took a left, which puts you back parallel. Like, you're not on the exact same street, but you're parallel. And so even from how we were in unhealthy marriages, to our partners cheating on us, to the women reaching out to us and telling us about it, to us filing our own divorce, which I just kind of connected that here now. But having a good relationship with the in-laws, but then having to just kind of, dismantle the relationships with them so that you can actually properly heal. And, that is something that is so important for me, because I remember one time during COVID calling you, I was running and I was like, you know what? I have to leave my marriage because I don't want my daughter to think that this is healthy, because I saw it from you saw it from Big Mama. And so there's this generation of, just history of us accepting, this in a marriage, because sometimes we can just start to believe like, okay, well, this is how because that's all we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So we don't know any other way. And so that's why it's so important for me, because again, I get to see how, like, in my mind, I was telling myself like, oh, I'm doing something different. You know, I went to college and I met my partner in college and and not realizing that I still was picking up the same person that you picked up. Mm-hmm. But let's kind of circle back to, like, you know, when you said when a woman's fed up, what was that in you? Because a lot of us believed that you wouldn't leave your ex-husband, you know, but what was that in you where you were like, okay, it's time?
Yes, I realized, okay, if I'm married, why am I paying all the bills?
Yeah.
If I'm married, why am I going to all the functions by myself?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm married, so, you know, I'm thinking, okay, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, and I didn't realize that my ex-husband had a problem with drugs until I got into it.
Uh-huh.
You know? And then I was thinking, well, he does go to church, but it didn't get any better.
Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
It didn't get any better. And I just thought, okay. And I've always been in education, you know, and how can I stand before my students, teach them one thing and I'm doing different?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, okay, some things have got to change.
Yeah.
But out of all of that, you were my number one person. And I was like, okay, why would I take my daughter through this when she has her children? I wouldn't want her to take her children through this. So why am I taking my baby through all of this? So a lot was encased in all of that. But out of all of those decisions, my peace, coming home, because peace, ladies, your peace, listen, women, if you can't have peace in your own castle, I don't know of any other place where you can have peace of mind.
Yeah.
When I say peace, I'm talking about peace of mind. Because we all know that the peace of God is very important. But even with that, you can be saved. You can know Jesus. But if you have turmoil in your home, there's no peace. And so I wanted my peace back. And in order to get my peace back, I knew that I had to make a decision. Okay, I have got to get my divorce. I have got to go through with this. Yes.
What were some of those things when you talk about peace? Because we hear that word a lot, like, okay, I got my peace back. I want my peace. What were some of those things that you would say that your peace was disrupted?
Coming and knocking on my door at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and waking me up out of my sleep. Yeah, that was some of the things that I went through a lot. Not knowing where he was, twisting and turning all night, praying that, you know, God cover him, let everything be well, but not knowing where he was. Some of those things. Yeah, it disturbs your peace. Yeah. Yeah,
that's good, because, you know, that's the thing. Like, when you're up looking for your partner and then they don't come home, you know, in the middle of the night, it disrupts you, you know.
Until 3 days later. Oh. Then they show up, you know.
Oh, wow.
3 days later.
So he would be gone for days.
Yes, days. I did not know where he was.
And what would he tell you, like, when he came back?
That he was with some friends.
And that's it?
That's it. But I knew deep down inside, because I prayed. Let me tell you, I stayed on my knees. I mean, when I tell you I prayed and I stayed in church, I mean, you knew that. We even if it was a revival, like, Bree, get ready, we got to go to church. Bree, get ready, we got to go to church. Yeah. Bree, get ready, we got to go to church.
Yeah, I was sick of church.
I know you were sick of church. I know you were sick of church, but church is what kept me. Mm-hmm. And church is what kept us.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember coming home and TV's gone out of the house.
Yep. I do remember that too.
Different things. I'm like, oh my God, where's the TV? Mm-hmm. Different things missing out of the house. Mm-hmm. And
he stole my check that one time.
Yeah, stole your check.
I was working at Taco Bueno, y'all.
Your $100.
Yep.
You had $100 that was stolen. Mm-hmm. Stole my baby's check. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying right here at this very moment that I'm sorry that I put you through that. Yeah. Women, please do not put your babies through what I went through. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. And if you have teenagers at home that's between the age of 13 and 14, ladies, please let your daughters grow up, get out of the house, get into college before you decide that you're going to marry. Mm-hmm.
So you would say hold off?
I would say hold off until your teenage daughters, because I remember the times my mom would say, take that baby with you. Mm-hmm. Don't you leave Bree there. Well, I never left you at home anyway. Mm-hmm. Wherever I went, you went. Mm-hmm. Or if it was somewhere that I was going with some girlfriends, if we had girlfriend night or girl night out, I would leave you with Mama or Aunt Grace or over to Aunt Nell's. I never left you there alone. Mm-hmm. You know, I never did that because I always had that feeling in the back of my mind, but I never left you there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're just saying just because you never know. And so to keep your daughter safe, your teenage daughter safe Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. Other women may think differently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, cause that's I mean, even it's like any age, because you can be 9, 10, 11 if a person isn't that. And so would you say like you just didn't trust him? Because I know some people, like you said, will give you pushback on that and be like, well, no, cause the person I'm gonna marry, I can trust them around my kids.
Yeah, I would say, I think I trusted him. I don't think he would have done anything to you. I think I trusted him, but I just never did even would leave you there anyway. I never let that even happen. Yes.
Why? So why do you think Big Mama said that? Like, where'd that come from?
Big Mama was brought up in that day and time. Big Mama would tell me a lot of stuff because Big Mama was raised differently than I was. Yes. And so that's just the way she was raised. That's the way her mother raised her. Don't you leave that girl there at that house. You take her with you. Everywhere you go, you take her with you. Yeah. That's just the way my mama was raised. And I thank God for that, for that raising. And these days, it doesn't have to be a young girl. It could be a young boy. Yeah. That could be molested. Yep. And that's going on right now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, the reason why I asked you that is because that's important too. Like sometimes our trauma will lead things that we say because, we even saw when we just saw, the movie, the Color Purple movie, it talked about that, about like, just women ain't safe in a house full of men. No. And but when you talk about like Big Mama and then Big Mama's mama, they were raised in that era where women probably weren't safe. And so, that was probably Big Mama's way of, just saying what she's used to, and she wants to protect her grandchildren from that. Yes.
And I know that we went and saw the movie, but even watching Color Purple the first time, I got a lot out of the second movie because she pulled Suge out of that environment. She pulled Suge out of that because she was in a hostile environment. He kept beating her, and even
Celie, Suge pulled Celie out,
and even tried to have sex with her sister. Remember that part? And so yes, I've always taken you everywhere I went. I left you with people that I knew that I could trust. Yeah. And that was my immediate family.
And like, talking about, because when somebody don't come home 3 days, right? And he did that multiple times.
Yes.
He did that multiple times. So what was going through your head, or what made you every time take him back?
Well, I think I painted a picture. I would try to go to work. I would try to work, and I would get there and I would cry all day. And sometimes my coworkers would say, Sharon, just go ahead and take off and come back tomorrow. Well, it'd be the same thing because he still didn't come home. So I'm still crying in the middle of the night and trying to get up and get ready for work. And it was horrible. It was horrible. It was, I had low self-esteem. I thought I was a nobody. I thought that nobody else want me.
Where did that come from?
That's the way I felt. That's the way I felt.
Like, because he made you feel that way, or you felt that way before? I
felt that way before.
Why was that?
I think it's because of who I was with, actually. I felt like I couldn't do any better. And I really could, but I just felt that way. But when I got my divorce, I saw a different side of me. I started getting my strength back. I started looking good again. I started feeling good about myself. Even though I was a hairdresser, I was doing hair. My hair looked worse than anybody's because I was at that point to where I didn't care anymore. Yes, I lost all sense of hope. I'm talking about myself. How I looked, how I kept myself. And that's not who I was before I married. Right.
So I'm curious to know, like, what events, or, were there things that he said that made you lose your self-esteem, that made you, feel that like you couldn't get anybody better and stuff like that prior to getting with him?
No, he didn't. He never told me that he never talked those things down to me ever. I just felt that way because of who I was with. Because my family kept telling me, you can do better than that. You deserve better. And I did. I did deserve better. And I knew that because I jumped up and married the first person that I thought that paid me a little of attention. That's where a lot of ladies, please, just because a man is showing you some attention, and I know we are emotional creatures, don't fall for that. You want someone in your life who has the same goals that you have. Who's compatible to you, who loves God. And now he did. I go to church. He told me he went to church, and he did. But his heart wasn't in it like mine was. And so I felt for that. Ladies, please wait for God to give you your husband. Please wait for God to give you your Boaz. He's coming. Yes, he's coming.
And that's important what you said about attention. Excuse me. You talk about this was the first guy that ever showed you any attention. So is it safe to say too, like, okay, you've dated several people before and they didn't give you, as much attention as he did. And then now you get into this marriage with this person, and now they're ending up not showing you the attention that you've always longed for and yearned for. And so is it safe to say too, like, that's where those thoughts start to come in of like, man.
Yes, I can truly say that that's where those thoughts came in. Yes. And it was, I always thought that he was the one for me. This was my thinking. But I didn't pray and ask God, is this the husband you want me to have? I didn't pray those prayers. But you better believe I pray those now.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And ladies, you pray. You ask God for what you want. He'll give it to you. If you want a tall man, if you want a dark, handsome man, if you want a man that's a preacher, you ask God for what you want. I believe that he will do that.
Yeah. 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 Because that's important, that women need to hear that, because a lot of women, I even had a client, or I have a client currently, and that's been her story of like the reason why she has stayed with her husband, even though he's, constantly cheating on her, emotionally, verbally abusive. This was the first time that somebody paid her a little attention. Right. And so it's important that we talk about those things and just say that shouldn't deter you from leaving a toxic relationship because you're just now getting with somebody who pays you a little attention.
Yes, no, don't, please don't. And then I remember getting to the job. My coworkers would say, Sharon, I saw your husband walking this morning. Well, at least they saw him.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen him in 3 days.
Yeah. Would you tell them you hadn't seen him?
I sure would.
Oh, really?
And they would say, oh, Sharon, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. That's exactly what they would tell me. And then I would cry a little bit and they would say, Sharon, you deserve better. Until people just kept saying that to me, until one day that it was a thought, but then it dropped into my heart. And I began to say, I believe I can do better.
Yeah.
I believe I do deserve better. And so
when they would tell you that beforehand, though, you deserve better, what would you say?
I thought I was so in love.
Okay.
I thought I was so in love. But I really wasn't. I was just longing for that person that was showing me some attention. Okay. And that's what it was. It was just the attention. Yeah.
And so like you said, so you would hear people say that you could do better. Did you actually think you were doing better, or you just kind of brushed them off and were like, I don't know what they don't know what they talking about?
I would brush them off. I would brush them off. And then I would hear people say, Sharon, I saw your husband with such and such woman, or Sharon, your husband, I saw him at such and such and such, and I wouldn't believe them.
Oh, really?
Oh, for a long time. I wouldn't believe, like, no, he's not doing that. He's not doing that. He's not doing any of those things. And I think I've heard you say that too, about your ex. You say, no, because you used to tell me.
Well, they would say stuff like, they wouldn't say they seen him, but they would say stuff like, girl, he ain't coming with you to family events. That's blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, no, not him. Yes. He's different.
I remember, and I think I had gone through my divorce. And so that's why I knew that I could pinpoint a lot of those things that were happening to you. I had already been through it.
Right.
And so when I would mention it to you, you say, oh, mama, you're just trying to find something. And I'm thinking deep down inside, no, I'm not. Because what my baby's going through, I've already been through it.
Yep.
And I didn't want you to go through that, what I have gone through. Because I was a little older than you. And so I have been through all of that. And I just did not want you to go through all of that. But thank God you went through it. You made it through, because there are a lot of women that don't come through things that we come through. Right. They don't. They either lose their mind, because some women, I know a woman now that she was so in love with this guy and he upped and left her for another woman and she lost her mind. And to this day, she doesn't know who she is. Yeah. Yeah, so I thank God it didn't get to that point with either one of us. Right. Because we've always been a Christian-based home, Christian-oriented, kept God, we prayed. And so that's what sustained us. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'll tell anybody, you cannot make it alone, especially if you're going through a divorce. And let me say this to the ladies also. When you're going through a divorce, not only does it triggers or it hurts your family members, but it also hurts your children when you're going through a divorce. It hurts your children. It hurts your family. Yes.
But what would you much rather prefer? Would you prefer the hurt of going through the divorce or the hurt of staying in a toxic marriage?
the hurt of going through the divorce. I don't want anybody to stay in a toxic marriage. No, no. Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's kind of switch sides a little bit in terms of, you know, okay, my story, because I share my story, but people never hear it from the lens of a mother. And so, you know, kind of talk about that of like, cause like you said, none of this was new to you. And it's funny because like now as I'm working with my clients, I be looking at them like, girl, I already know, just say it. But they don't, you know, they be so ashamed to say the things, and I know it, but I have to wait for them, and I have to, you know, delicately guide them to say these things and admit these things. But talk about it from the lens of a mother. Like, what does it do to you as a mother to see your child go through that?
I think I can speak for all mothers out there. When your child is hurting, you hurt. And I can honestly say this, Briana, because I know there were some times that I called you. I remember one time God showed me in a dream that your ex was scuffling with 2 women, fighting. And it bothered me so bad, I wanted to call you in the middle of the night. And I thought, no, I'm not going to call her in the middle of the night. I'll wait until the next day. So I remember contacting you, and you said, well, Mama, I might as well go on and let you know. We've been split up for 2 weeks, and I'm staying with a friend. And that's what God was showing, because I dreamed that he was fighting 2 women. I remember that. Yeah. And so when your child hurt, you hurt. And I think I can honestly say that for a lot of mothers, when your child is going through, you go through. When your child hurt, you hurt. And it's not a good feeling at all. But I remember one day, I believe it was during a revival, and Ella Wayne was preaching this revival, and I said, you know what? I'm standing up, and I'm going to stand up for my daughter. And so he asked me, I said, I need to pray for my baby. That she would get out of this bad marriage. And when he prayed, that's when things start to happen. You moved out, you moved in with some friends, and it just started happening just like that. And I thank God that I prayed, that I stood in for you that very day. Yeah. But talk to mothers too, like who are seeing that, what their children are going through, because it's not a short time frame. You know, it happens over years, and to see your children are like, for me, the symptoms of, you know, just depression and being super angry and losing weight, but then there's nothing that you could do about that. And, you know, I even remember you were talking to Miss Vicky one time and saying that you weren't going to come visit me for a while because I was just so, mean to you. And even then, when I thought I was being slick, and you would watch me like go whenever he would get home, sneak out, go look through his car and all that stuff. And so you saw all of that stuff. And so how do you talk to moms about, like, how do y'all as parents support your children through it, but give them the space to? I remember one time, I believe it was the time I had to come up and help you pack up and move, because he never helped. And I come up, you call me, you would always call me, and I would just drop everything I was doing and come, because when it's your children, that's what you do. And I remember when I got ready to leave, you were there sitting on the couch, dressed. And I was like, where are you going? You said, well, I'm going to a party. But you never went to the party because JD never came home. And so I remember you wouldn't smile anymore. You didn't talk. I would have cold conversations, but you never commented like you used to. It just, you were not the same Bree. That I raised when you was going through there, because he tore you down so much. And I would love to say to parents, don't back off. Just keep letting your daughter know that everything's going to be okay. She can get through this. she's going through some things right now. Just understand her side, but also let her know that she can get through that. And I remember that, I did. I told Vicky, I said, I'm just not going to go to Bree's house anymore for a while because she's so mean to me. But it wasn't that. He had you that way.
Yeah.
Your smile.
Because when you're angry and hurt, you just,
Your smile was gone. Your joy was gone. He had stripped you of so much until you were just a whole new person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just didn't want to see you go through that any longer.
And so that's good. I love what you're saying to parents, though. Like, when you see your child going through that, though, don't back off.
No, don't back off.
Be there.
Be there for your child. And that's what I did. I never backed off. And I remember one time, because you had to move so much. And I remember one time, you and I were there, and then all of a sudden, he decides to come home, and he was telling you, Bree, they had computers everywhere, and they had computers all set up and everybody. And so when he went into the room, he would always go in there and get on that Game Boy and play on his game.
PlayStation, Mom. Game Boy is old school.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Bree. Anyway, I said to you, Briana, don't fall for that. And you said, Mama, there you go. There you go, Mama. You're trying to find something. No, I am not. I know when a man is lying.
Yep.
Because I had been through that. And I know every time I would try to come to you and tell you things, you would always say, Mama, you're just trying to find something.
Yeah, I would.
Until one day, you saw it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to think back to because what you said in your marriage, I truly believed that my partner was different, that, he wouldn't do that. I truly believe, I just thought he was different. I didn't think he had that type of bone in his body to cheat, and so, I think initially I was very defensive because it was y'all are the ones that have been hurt in y'all marriages, not me, not, this is different, but not realizing, because now, as you continue to live, you already, you can see the signs now, because I can see the signs now in people and say that. But then I think that once I started to get an inkling, it was more of shame of okay, but I can't let this get out. You know what I'm saying? So it was and that's probably too where some of that frustration and anger came in from, because it's okay, Bree, they know, but you don't want them to know that you also know, because then how is that going to look? And one thing I always talk about in my story too is a lot of the reason why I stayed longer than I should was because I was okay, I want to rewrite the narrative for the marriages in our family as far as women of okay, I want to show that, some marriages can sustain, us women can stay in marriages. And that too is why I stayed a little bit longer than I should have. But like you said, that's true. Whenever you would bring that up, I would say, oh, you're just looking for something. And
you would always say that to me. And when I would try to talk to you and let you know that he was cheating and I wanted you to get out of it, but you would always say, Mama, you're just trying to find something. You're just trying to find something, Mama. And I said, Bree, no, I'm not. I know when someone's cheating. Yeah. I've been there, I've done that, and I know when they're cheating. But as the more I talk, the you would back off. And so I said, you know what? No more talking. It's time to start praying. And when I put prayer on it, prayer changes things. I'm here to tell you, parents, moms, you start praying. Yeah. You start praying. Stop talking, because it seems like whenever you talk, they're going to be resentful and they're going to do what they want to do anyway. Yeah. You start praying. Yeah. God will work it out. He's going to fix it. And that's exactly what happened. I got up. I got in that prayer line. The man of God asked me, what did I want to pray for? I said, I want to pray for my daughter to get out of that marriage that she's in. And when that day, something happened on that very day. I remember you calling me. You was like, Mama, everybody going around thinking that I'm just this girl. She said, no. She said, I've called around. I know every woman that JD's been with. And to hear you say that, that was a start. And I knew then, okay, prayer is working. Yes. Yeah. So I'm so grateful that you got out of it. Yeah. And I do truly believe that God's going to bless you.
Yeah, I do too. Just waiting, but I do too.
And I do remember, you didn't tell me that that y'all were going to get married. I think you and Memel had talked about it.
No, I told you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But he wanted to go to the courthouse and not. Yeah. And so, doing stuff like that, like I've always wanted a big wedding and settling for less and not, having the wedding,
I was going to get married. I went to the rehearsal and he never showed up. Now that should have been something for me. Yep. That should have been, my goodness, but I still married him. He never showed up for the rehearsal.
Nope. No. And it's so funny that you say that because that was something that I was going to bring up because I wrote it in my book, and it's more so of like, when we're teenagers, and you probably, can agree with this, of like when you're teenagers, you don't ever see your parents as human. So I'm sure for you, like the stuff that you probably said and did to Big Mama, now you look back and you're like, man, that was so hurtful because my mother was probably hurting in that moment. And in my book, I talk about that. I talk about how all my friends that came home with me Friday night for us to get ready to go to the wedding rehearsal. We get to the church, we get to the wedding rehearsal, me and all my friends were going to be like the ushers and stuff like that. And then, he never shows up.
He never showed up.
Then we get home and me and my friends, we're laid out in pallets in the living room. And then he shows up. It was in the morning time because the sun was up. I do remember that. And I remember it was like he showed up with some white man. I remember he showed up and I remember you talking to him, and I don't know if my friends were up or not, or if they were like me faking like they were asleep. And then he brought you a ring that day when he came back. He had you a ring. And then I remember you calling Big Mama, and Big Mama said she wasn't coming to the wedding. And then I remember you calling Angel, and Angel saying she wasn't coming to the wedding. And then I can't remember who else you called.
Ella Webster, and he said that we can't be a part of that. And she didn't come. And then I even went as far as having a wedding shower. Nobody showed up. None of my family showed up.
Wow.
Nobody.
Because I remember too, I remember telling you too, I'm not going to the wedding, Mama. I'm not going to the wedding. And, in the book, I talk about that. I talk about how selfish I was, but I can't imagine like how hurt you were in that moment and it's funny because, you always want to say, I'm sorry. And I guess I'll apologize to you too. Or I shouldn't say, I'll apologize to you too. And just say that I'm sorry that, I didn't consider your feelings and your heart when you were going through what you were going through.
Yeah. And, but what was so surprising on that day that he didn't show up? It wasn't a shock to his family.
Yeah.
Because they knew who he was. They weren't surprised at all. Right. They weren't puzzled at all. Because they knew who he was. And if they knew who he was, if they had just told me. Yeah. Just told me. I don't want to lead somebody down that way. If I know something about somebody, and this person is so head over heels and I know how this person is, I'm going to go to them. I won't ever let anybody get caught up in a trap or in such a maze like I did. I don't want anybody to go through that anymore. So you better believe I will wait on God. Right. And I'm 59. I'll be 60.
Okay.
This year in 2024. Mm-hmm. I want to be married again. Mm-hmm. But Bree, if God does not give me a husband, mm-hmm. I'm content with where I am right now. Mm-hmm. Because I've got God in my life. I'm content. I'm happy. But I want to be married. I want to go on walks with my husband. I want to go shopping with my husband. Yeah. I want my man with me. I do. But I have to wait on God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I wish you'd do the same.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I do want to ask you this question before we end it, though, of going back to that, like not considering your feelings and stuff like that. But like, what did that do to you when he didn't show up to the wedding rehearsal, and then he comes the next day, and then I didn't even know that you had a wedding shower and nobody showed up. Like, what emotionally, what did those things do to you?
I was so hurt. It was a gut hurt. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever had a gut hurt, it's down in the gut. Mm-hmm. I was heartbroken. Mm-hmm. And I think you probably could, if you've been heartbroken, it is what it is. Your heart is broken. Your heart is broken into two. Mm-hmm. You can't, there's no life. It's your heart is broken. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you've heard of people say, oh, she died from a broken heart. Mm-hmm. When people got a broken heart, a broken heart will kill you. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had. I had a broken heart. But God healed it. Mm-hmm. He pieced my heart back together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one thing that I think is really important too, of like, you know, this is new to me to hear you say, like, you would go to work and you would cry, but I never saw you cry. Like,
I didn't want you to see me cry because you were going through enough with when he was there and, you know, the things that you saw. Why would I let you see me cry? I hid all of that from you. I didn't want you, because it was already emotional draining for you. You know, you have to go to school, your grades were failing. You had enough with you dealing with what you were dealing with, what you saw me go through. Why would I let you see me cry?
Well, but now I always say, I think it's important for us to see our parents show emotions, because it allows us to see that human side of them, to where when they are going through stuff, it allows us to be able to show them more compassion. And I think that, you know, as I sit around in circles and talk with my African American friends, we've all said that same thing of like how our parents, our mothers in particular, didn't cry in front of us, and how we wish that we would have saw y'all cried, because we too think that would have kind of helped us when we went through, you know, what we were going through, you know.
Well, we cried. We just didn't cry in front of our children.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it would have been nice to see that.
Yes, I know it, because there were a lot of nights I cried in my bed. You didn't see it. And so, but God saw it. And yes, honey, getting that divorce was the happiest day of my life. Yes, and so you better believe I'll wait on God.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this was a great episode.
I'm so grateful that you asked me.
I know, me too. This
mother-daughter duo.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, because there's a lot that we could talk about. But before we close it off, I want to ask you, you seeing me building life after infidelity, what does that mean to you? Life after infidelity mean to you?
Seeing you build that, it definitely gives you strength. It gives you character. Because if someone would have saw the old Bree, they wouldn't have known. You know how you mirror a person? They wouldn't have known. But yeah, I'm so happy for your Life After Infidelity episode. I'm so excited for every episode that you do, because you're helping other women. And not only are you helping women, you've got some men that are coming and seeking your help. Yeah. So that should make you feel great, Briana.
It does. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
It does. Yeah.
And I hope that you will continue to reach out, continue what you're doing. Don't stop, because not only do you help other women and men, heck, you help your mama. Even though I'm divorced, it still helps me, because it lets me know, okay, what to look for in a man and what not to look for.
Right.
What not to tolerate, because I'm zero tolerance.
Yeah, you'll block somebody in a minute.
Yes, ma'am. I'll block you in a minute. I'll delete. I'll block.
A block game strong, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Mine is. I'll block you in a minute. I'll delete. I don't tolerate it.
Oh my gosh.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I think that the reason why this episode was so important to me is we didn't really get into the story, but as you heard some of my mom's story, just know that a lot of what she went through, I went through too, you know, from not showing up to the wedding rehearsal, even though, you know, my ex and I got married at the courthouse after my family left, he left. You know, and that's something that I never told anybody. And then he came back later on that night, and then we went to the movies, you know, and I was hoping we would have like this lavish celebration of our union together. No, he left and then came back late at night and then went to the movies, you know. And so just to see how our situations basically ran parallel to one another, just in different times. I want parents and, you know, children to see that your parents already know. And when they're coming to you and they're addressing these things with you, that's really their way of trying to help you, because they can see that, because they've already been down that road before. And for parents, what I will say is, you know, take the time to do the brave thing and make that hard decision, because I hear a lot of women say that they're trying to stay in marriages or toxic relationships because of the children, but the children already know that the parents are hurting. So just go ahead and make the hard things. I was texting one of my brothers this morning because he just made a really hard decision, and I was telling him how proud I am of him. And I even told him, I said, sometimes the right things are the hard things. And I told him, I'm just glad that you did the hard thing the right way. And so I want to encourage everybody and remind you of that, is that sometimes the right things are the hard things, but always do the hard things the right way. And so we'll end on that. My name is Briana Latrice. I am your favorite affair recovery coach. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And thank you again to my mama for coming on to the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it is healing. Love you, mama. And we'll see you, beautiful people, in the next episode.
If you need somebody to help you get through this life after infidelity, call her.
Hit me up. Yes, that's right, y'all.
Call her.
That's right. Okay.